Okay, I want to run a quick simulation with you. It's a micro simulation, really. And it's something that probably happens to you, I don't know, 20 times a day without you even realizing.
All right, I'm ready.
You're sitting at a table, maybe you're working, maybe eating, and your phone just buzzes on the hard surface.
Uh,
Or, or maybe someone in the room calls your name, but they use that specific tone.
oh, I know that tone. The we need to talk tone.
Exactly that one, the one that instantly tightens your stomach.
Yep.
Now, usually when we tell this story later, we just skip straight to the feeling. We say, I felt so annoyed, or I got anxious, or I immediately got defensive.
That's the headline of the story, right? The emotion.
Right. But I want to ask you to freeze the frame just for a second.
Mm.
Literally stop the film 1 millisecond before that feeling kicks in. There's a gap, a tiny, invisible split second where you just register that something happened.
You haven't reacted yet.
Not at all. You haven't spun a story about why they're mad. You
Yeah.
just noticed.
That gap, that is exactly where we are living today. And it's so deceptive because it feels like nothing. It feels like empty space.
It does.
But according to the source material we're digging into, that split second is pretty much the foundational structure of human consciousness.
We are doing a deep dive today into this really fascinating essay. It's called Finding the Dot, and it's by the philosopher Pedro Malha. He's the founder of the Ghosts movement.
And it's not what you'd expect.
No, not at all. I have to say, when I first picked this up, I was expecting, standard mindfulness advice. Take a breath, find your happy place.
Right, count to 10.
But this isn't that. This feels almost mechanical, like an engineering manual for the mind.
It really is. Malha isn't that interested in making you feel better, necessarily. He's interested in showing you how the machine actually works. And his whole argument is that this split second, what he calls the dot, is the single most important part of our existence that we are all basically ignoring.
So let's define it clearly before we go any further, because the dot sounds a little abstract, a little mystical, maybe.
But he's very grounded about it. Malha is super specific here. He says the dot is not a metaphor. It is a structural feature of your biology, of your mind. It is the registration point.
The registration.
It's the precise instant where your awareness meets an experience. It's like the data entry point. Yeah. And the reason this matters, the reason we're talking about it, is that once you can identify it, you realize we have the order of operations for our own lives completely backward.
Okay, hold on. Let's unpack that backward part, because that was the first place in the essay where I just had to stop and reread.
It's a big claim.
It is. I think most people, myself included, assume experience starts with an emotion. I feel happy, I feel sad, I feel tired. That's the ground floor. That's where the whole scene begins.
Right. We think the emotion is the start of the movie.
Yeah.
But Malha lays out a totally different sequence. He says there are 3 distinct layers to every single moment you live. Layer 1 is registration. That's the dot. Something happens. Layer 2 is reaction. That's the sensation, the adrenaline, the emotion itself. And then you get layer 3, which is story. That's where your brain kicks in to interpret, judge, or blame someone.
So if I suddenly realize I'm exhausted, the exhaustion itself isn't the first thing that happened.
Nope. The noticing of the exhaustion is the first thing. The exhaustion is the payload. The noticing is the delivery system. That noticing, that dot, it's totally quiet. It's immediate. And it happens way before you decide, oh, I'm tired because work is so stressful, or I really need a nap.
It's just the raw data.
It's just consciousness saying,
Yeah.
Exhaustion is present. That's it.
It's so interesting because it seems obvious once you say it, but in practice, it's incredibly elusive. The essay makes a big point of this. If this is happening in literally every experience, why is it so hard to find?
He uses that great phrase, invisible, not absent.
Yes.
And that's the key distinction. It's not missing. We are just trained from birth to look right past it. I mean, think about modern life.
Yeah.
It's all designed for speed.
Every
Screens, productivity, social dynamics, everything pushes us straight to layer 2 and 3. Reaction and story. We're taught to explain ourselves, to fix things, to respond immediately.
We're obsession machines for stories. I feel that in my bones. I can turn a funny look from a barista into a 3-act tragedy about my likability by the time I get to my car.
We all do that. We're narrative creatures. So the dot, that neutral point of registration, it just gets buried under all the noise of the reaction.
So we're basically living in the story layer almost 100% of the time, totally unaware that there's a basement level we're standing on.
Precisely. And that's where so much confusion comes from when people try to do, inner work. Because when they hear, find a quiet place inside, they bring a lot of baggage to that idea.
For sure. Malha spends a good chunk of the essay just clearing up what the dot is not. And thank goodness, because the misconceptions are so common.
They're why most people fail at things like meditation, honestly.
Yeah, let's go through those because I definitely fell into a few of these traps. The first big one is the spiritual angle. When you hear the dot or the center, it sounds, well, it sounds religious, right? Like the soul.
It does sound like it, but Maltha is adamant that the dot sits beneath belief systems.
Mhm.
It's structural. If you're a believer, you might see it as where the soul meets reality. Fine. If you're an atheist, it's just biology consciousness registering data.
It's hardware, not software.
Exactly. The dot doesn't ask you to believe in anything. It's just how perception works.
He also makes a point to distinguish it from the higher self. You know, that idea that there's a wiser, better version of you inside? I kind of wanted the dot to be my inner Yoda, whispering the right answer.
I do. But Malsa says,
Nope.
and this is so important for managing your expectations, the dot isn't higher. It doesn't give advice. It doesn't tell you the right thing to do.
It's not moral.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It is the ground that growth stands on, but it isn't the growth itself. It's simpler. It just sees.
So it's the camera, not the director.
That's a great way to put it. The camera records the scene, whether it's a tragedy or a comedy. It doesn't judge. It doesn't yell cut when things get ugly.
Which connects to the soul thing. Souls are usually seen as moral, right?
Yeah.
Good or bad. But the dot makes no claims. It registers a murder just as clearly as it registers a hug.
It's totally neutral. But this next one, this is where I think the rubber really hits the road for anyone who's ever tried a mindfulness app.
Oh, yeah. Mala lists all these states we mistake for the dot. Calm, grounding, peace.
And this is where most people get tripped up. We assume finding the dot means feeling calm. We equate awareness with relaxation. But Mala points out that calm is just a condition. That's layer 2 reaction.
Right.
The dot exists even in panic.
Right.
I mean, if you are having a full-blown panic attack, you are aware of the panic, aren't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I know I'm freaking out is usually the only thing I know in that moment.
Exactly. That knowing, that awareness that says, I am freaking out, that is the dot.
That actually blows my mind a little because my instinct when I'm anxious is to think, I've lost my center. I need to get back to awareness. But you're saying the awareness is what's letting me know I'm anxious in the first place.
It has to be. How would you know you were panicking otherwise? The dot is the register that just says panic is happening.
Yeah.
Same with numbness. If you feel numb, the dot is the part of you registering the numbness.
Wow.
It operates whether you are practicing mindfulness or completely losing your mind.
That actually takes so much pressure off because if I think finding the dot means I have to be all zen and chill, I'm going to fail 10 times a day.
Especially on a Monday.
Especially on a Monday. But if the dot is just the noticing of the chaos, well, I'm doing it anyway.
Exactly. It's not a state you achieve. It's a function that is already operating. You don't create the dot. You just recognize it.
So let's make this real. The essay walks through a very specific scenario, an argument with a loved one. We've all been there. You're fighting, they misunderstand you, and you get that heat in your chest, that urge to just verbally destroy them.
Right. You are deep in the reaction phase. Your nervous system is flooded.
So in that moment, what does finding the dot even look like? Does it mean I suddenly stop and speak like a therapist? I hear what you're saying.
No. And Malha is so clear on this. Finding the dot in friction doesn't necessarily stop the friction. It just means that in the middle of that heat, that urge to defend yourself, you notice your jaw clench.
Okay.
You notice your breath getting short. You notice the powerful impulse to prove your point.
You're watching yourself be angry.
Yes. Awareness has entered the interaction. Now, you might still snap at them. You might still say the wrong thing. But the dot is present. You are no longer just the anger. You are the anger and the one watching the anger.
And he talks about the aftermath, too, which is usually when I do my best thinking in the shower 2 hours later, replaying the whole fight.
The shower regret, a
Yep.
classic. But notice what happens there. You feel that wave of embarrassment. Ugh, why did I say that? The dot is there too. It registers the regret just as clearly as it registered the anger.
I love the phrase he uses, awareness moving with you through imperfection. That feels so much more doable than perfection.
It changes the goal entirely, doesn't it? The goal isn't to be a robot who never feels anger. The goal is to not be lost in the anger without a map. He uses that formula. You feel anger and know you are angry.
That knowing is the dot.
That's it. It doesn't solve the feeling, but it keeps awareness present inside it. It stops you from becoming the feeling entirely. It's like being in the river versus standing on the bank watching the river.
You're still wet, but you aren't drowning.
That's it. This leads us to the part of the essay that I found the most profound but also I don't know, the most challenging.
The definition of love.
Yeah. The ghost movement defines this dot, this registration point, as love.
And I have to be honest, when I first read that, I kind of rolled my eyes because love is such a loaded word. I think warmth, affection, Hallmark cards.
But that's not it at all. He strips all the sentimentality out of it. He defines love specifically and only as non-withdrawal.
Non-withdrawal. Let's just sit with that for a second. That is a heavy concept.
It is. But think about the evidence. You can be ashamed, and the dot remains. You can fail miserably at something, and the dot is still there. You can be furious, misunderstood, blamed, and that point of awareness never packs its bags and leaves.
It never turns away.
Never. From any part of your experience.
That's incredibly powerful. We're so used to conditional love. I love you if you're good, or I love myself when I'm successful. But this structural awareness, it literally can't leave. It's just there, witnessing the whole mess.
And that steady presence is what Ghost means by love. The capacity to be with what is without turning away. It's not about liking what you see. You might hate what you see.
But the awareness itself just stays.
It holds the line. It's unconditional in the most literal sense. It has no conditions. And once you really get that, it starts to change how you see other people.
Right, because if I have a dot, so does the guy screaming at me in traffic.
Exactly. Presence recognizes presence. When someone is shouting at you, before you get to the story that they are a jerk, you can recognize that they are also registering their own shouting.
Even someone who has harmed you. They're conscious of their internal state, even if they can't control it.
Now, we have to be super careful here because a listener could hear this and think, okay, so my toxic partner, I just need to see their dot and it's all fine.
Absolutely not. And the essay is very clear about this.
It's a crucial caveat. Seeing the dot in someone does not excuse harm. It doesn't remove consequences. You set boundaries. You call the police. You protect yourself.
But it changes how you see them.
Yes. You see the human structure beneath the behavior. You see that they are, at their core, a registering consciousness just like you. It adds a layer of clarity, maybe, more than forgiveness.
It's like stripping away a monster mask. You realize there's a confused mechanic under the mask. Doesn't mean I let the mechanic wreck my car, but I see him.
Precisely. And that leads to the so what of this whole thing. Because Malha is brutally honest about what the dot does not do.
Which I really appreciate. Usually this kind of stuff promises you the moon.
Right. Malha goes the other way. He says explicitly, the dot will not save you.
It won't save you?
It won't. It doesn't prevent death or heartbreak. It doesn't dissolve power dynamics or pay your rent.
So you might be asking, pretty fairly, why bother? If it doesn't fix my problems, what's the value here?
And the answer is orientation. It offers clarity. Think about being lost in a storm versus being in a storm holding a compass.
Okay.
The storm is still raging, you're still wet and cold, but you know where you are. You know which way is north.
That changes the panic level of the storm quite a bit.
It changes everything. You feel anger and know you are angry.
Yeah.
That small distance, that knowing, prevents you from being completely consumed by it. It's not a method to become better. It's a recognition of becoming more here.
More here. I like that. We spend so much of our lives trying to be there, some future place where everything is sorted. But the dot is about being an inhabitant of where we are right now, even if right now sucks.
And that is the ultimate integration. The essay says, you are not becoming better. You are becoming more here. It's an invitation to stop trying to escape your own experience.
Because if you try to escape your experience, you're basically trying to escape the dot. You're running from the one thing that never leaves.
It's wild to think about. That split second of noticing has been with me since I was a baby. Through every heartbreak, every success, every boring Tuesday.
It's the one thing that hasn't changed. My body's changed. My opinions have changed.
Everything changes.
Yeah.
But the noticing is identical.
Yeah.
It's the constant. Beneath it all, there is this shared human structure quietly registering experience. And the beauty of this argument is you don't need to build it. You have never been without it.
It's already installed.
It's the operating system. You just have to look at the screen instead of the movie playing on it.
So as we wrap this up, the work, if you can even call it that, isn't to create awareness. It's just to admit it's already there.
The work is recognition. It's allowing that awareness to remain with you, especially when you are imperfect. Malha's challenge is, can you let the dot witness your own mess?
Can I let myself be seen by myself?
Exactly. When the world isn't meeting you gently, can you meet yourself gently? Not by fixing the feeling, but by simply not withdrawing your attention from it.
That concept of non-withdrawal is what I'm going to be thinking about. The next time I feel like a mess or I drop the ball, I'm going to try to sense that part of me that isn't judging, the part that's just watching.
It's a powerful shift. It turns isolation into solitude. You realize you're never truly alone because your own awareness is always bearing witness.
And that seems like a pretty good place to land. We're going to leave you to find your own dot. No pressure, no perfection required.
Just notice the noticing. It's been a pleasure diving into this one.
Thanks for diving in with us. See you next time.